Hey everybody, it's Tafony here once again. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me today in the soldering station to ramble about the Casper Bastl Softpop 2. It is a Eurorack compatible, Eurorack mountable, desktop at the moment, semi-modular synthesizer, and it sounds like this. Okay, before we get started here, I need to give a huge shout out, a huge thank you to our good Euro pal Mariusz for lending me this one. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do it without you. What I'm going to aim to do today is just go over the digital waveforms and the analog filter because I think they're really special. Now, there's lots of other things on the Softpop that I feel like I'm not going to be able to cover in depth, and I don't think I'm going to attempt to. There's so many other videos out there on them that I don't feel I have anything new to offer there. And the scope of these, especially something like a full voice, a full modular one, that is just like impossible in scope to cover everything. So instead, we're going to talk about what I love about it, and that is the digital voice and the analog filter. That is an awesome combo. So that being said, when this launched, I believe there was only a analog voice on board. Might have been digital as well. It's still available on here, the analog voice that is, but what they did in an update was add a bunch of digital waveforms. And if you've been following the channel for a bit, I love digital waveforms and I love analog filters. And I believe the VCA is analog, or at least the envelope generator is. Don't quote me on that part of it, but there's actually something really special in here when it comes to the VCO and filter combo. Now, there's a million patch points, a million different things you can do. I'm not going to talk about this sequencer, and frankly, I don't think it's for me. I just like my interest in learning that side of things, I feel like is kind of a missed opportunity that you could be focusing on droning or sequencing externally, right? It's there. It's actually pretty clever, the button combos and everything, but there's still button combos, and I just find, like, I don't know. If we want this video to have any amount of brevity, I'm just going to be spending the entire video trying to figure out and explain those things to you where they've been better demonstrated by Bastl themselves or other YouTubers. So what we should do, though, is switch this into drone mode, which we are doing right now, bring in the output, and this is cycling itself, which we don't want to do, and playing itself, which we also don't want to do. Let's pitch this up and change the waveform into the first one. Now, our filter is in high pass mode. I'm going to go down to low pass mode and then ramble on about it a little bit. Let's sweep that filter up to be all the way open, make sure my levels are okay, and then we'll go from there. So I'm not going to go into too much depth, but there is 37 patch points on here. There is this XY controller here that works in a bunch of different ways. It's AC and DC coupled, so you can use it as an attenuverter if you want to, blend in, say, the two voices you want to mix together. Let's just try that here. I'm going to patch out the pulse. Now, I believe these were labeled for the analog voice. Don't quote me on that part of it, but if we patch in the triangle wave into the X and the pulse into the Y, then the output here in mono, the XY output, we can use as a mixer. So if we bring on our output, I can crossfade between our triangle and our pulse. Now, I don't think the triangle and pulse is exclusive. The triangle, at least, is very different across all the different waveforms, which we'll go into in a moment. But just to say, that's the patch bay. There's lots of patching opportunities on here. You can also use, I don't know if you call it a dummy cable, but if I want to, like, I don't know, let's just pretend this is control voltage. If I want to patch out my XY into the filter, we could just use an attenuated pulse wave only. Heck, let's try an attenuated triangle wave only, right? You can use that as an attenuator. So think, too, if you use that as your output of your envelope, you could use that to soften the envelope, no pun intended. But that is what that's for. There is a sequencer on board. I find it kind of, it's pretty clever for what it is, but it's still like very small. I'm just trying to rapid fire through all the other things that I'm not going to cover here to get them out of the way, so to speak. I will say on the front of the design, it's beautiful. I really like what Bastl does. This is very tafony coded in me in the way I like things like super utilitarian, that just like there's an open space on the back, just print labels. Like, I think that's sweet. I'm not even like, I laugh, but like genuinely, like, there's an opportunity to provide some useful information, just do it. I'd say design be damned, but like it also looks great design-wise, so that's awesome. Bringing that output again. We're not going to be using that sequencer for now, but what you can do is put it into envelope mode, which will mute it when I'm not triggering. You can manually trigger it. Or you can set your envelope here, or LFO they call it. I like cycling envelope isn't exactly the same as LFO, I don't think, because I don't think it's unipolar, or sorry, I do think, because I think it's unipolar, right? Not bipolar, I could be mistaken, but if we turn that into cycle mode, you'll hear it start to go, so. And I believe this is normal as well to two things. There's filter mod and frequency mod, which gets crazy. I don't find I'm using this too much because, like, I would want to FM it with like an audio rate oscillator. I wouldn't want to like pitch bend it, but again, there's use for everything, right? If you wanted to do pitch bend for drums, you could use your Softpop as a drum. Now, what I do want to do with it though is put it into drone mode so we can just hear the beautiful sounds of the Softpop. So in the first section, we have two sliders. You have your pitch and your pitch mod, like I mentioned, the FM. Then there's a fine-tune slider. Here we have the analog filter, low pass right now, and filter mod. I'm not cycling, so that's not going to do anything, but if we did cycle, you hear it. I know it's also going, but yeah. That's going. There's a resonance control, so if I bring in some resonance, and I think this is 12 dB per octave, at least it sounds like it. This filter sounds really nice. And you could use this with other waveforms, other oscillators, right? I feel like there's definitely a case to be made for using it in the rack, because it would be nice to run other voices through that filter, because it's a great filter. Here's the bandpass. And one thing that's interesting about this is you do get a dedicated bandpass out that doesn't follow the resonance controls of the other parts. Right? So let's just run the bandpass in the filter. You can, again, this is semi-modular stuff. You can just, no, because I've unpatched the filter in of it. Trying to think here. I want to patch into the in. Yeah. But it doesn't follow this resonance, right? On that side. Anyway, just an interesting piece of minutia on the bandpass front. If we get over to high pass, though, sounds really nice too. My resonance is cranked. I don't think this will actually self-oscillate very much. Or at least, if we patch a dummy cable into the filter in, we can mute it. But will it self-oscillate then? Yes, it will. Okay. So dummy cable in the filter in, we're just listening to the filter itself. It sounds really good. It does self-oscillate. Anyway, interesting. Filter on here, very good. Like I said, what I find special about this thing, honestly, is analog filter and digital waveforms are really special and very cool. On that note, on the envelope side, we're not cycling it. If we do cycle it, this is your envelope. Let's go into envelope mode for the VCA. And to be honest, I always feel like semi-modular stuff is kind of not the best for beginners, even though it's often recommended to them. I think it's recommended because they're just like a way to get a lot of things in one purchase and one usually cheaper price. But I think it's kind of hard to know sometimes when you're just trying to figure out what an envelope is. When you sum an entire envelope down to one knob, it gets kind of confusing. And when you have internal routings to the VCA by use of a switch, for me, when I was a beginner, I found those things really confusing and unintuitive, and I wish I started in something like VCV Rack, but anyway, that's just a random off thought here. Cycle, we're going to turn off for a moment because I want to go back into drone mode to show you the effects section. Now, I'm just going to say on here too, notably no reverb or any other effects like that. I thought that was kind of interesting. I know they sell a similar box. They sell some other effects boxes as well now, but On here, there's a soft circuit, a pop circuit, which gets into like distortion territory, and then a bit crushing pixel circuit, which is insane. And those are all great. But I am just feeling like this seems so dronable to me, and a lack of reverb is kind of bizarre. But again, this is another reason why I just feel like you want to rack mount it, right? Because all of these things that I don't love about it go away. And you can just focus on the analog filter and the digital VCO. So, with that being said, it's pretty button combo-y too as well, to be honest. So, when it comes to changing the wave shape, we want to hold slide, press the MIDI button, and then select one of 8 waveforms. And what I'm going to do is patch out the triangle waveform. Now, they're not always triangle waveform, but it is always the one triangle output. I'm going to patch out the pulse output here. We're using the XY knob as a mixer to patch into the filter, so now I can control just listening to the triangle right now, just listening to the sine right now. And on the button combo front too, there's some button combo for quantization that is definitely on at the moment. And I don't know. That is going to be under your scale settings that is set up. But anyway, just to say that these are the sort of things, the downsides to it. It's hard to remember all that stuff, at least for a moron like me. Now, that is the first waveform. This is the fractal triangle. We're going to listen on the right. There's a pulse, square wave, and then the other button combo here is when you hold slide, you get wave shaping. So here's the pulse's wave shape. It changes the pulse width. You do also get, here, let's take the envelope out and control that. There's a PWM input. I believe it's up here, if I can see it. Yes. So I love my PWM. But you also get this. I think we'll leave that at the lowest one for that one. But if I switch over to the other side, stop my cycle for a moment, this is the fractal triangle. So it starts off as a super normal digital triangle, and then as we increase that wave shaping, it will add some fractals to it. And that's really cool. My only thing here, though, is I want to ping this too, right? I almost want my envelopes to do that. And I don't know if there's a way. If there is a way, you let me know in the comments, because I would love to per envelope go right? That's where my mind's at. That being said, it sounds awesome. This is really cool. And again, there's a sequencer. If I hit play on that, it's probably going to sound bonkers in a bad way. Yeah, it's not even going. If we cycle that, we'll keep cycling our envelope. It sounds really good. Use that cycle to move our filter around, bring in some resonance. I just want to drill that home that I really like these sounds. Have I mentioned that yet? Let's do some wave shaping. I think that's great. We're mixing a little bit shy of 50-50. Now it's 50-50. If I take my PWM mod out of here. Yeah. It's nice. Let's move over to the second waveform, which is the super fractal triangle. And then this is a super saw, meaning multiple of this, I guess. Wave, so if we go over to that one. If we listen to it, we're on 50-50 right now. Filters up, resonance down a little bit. Pitch it down a little bit. Let's do some wave shaping again, so listen to just the triangle right now. This is in the pure triangle form. If we bring it up, it's 2 detuned triangles cross-modulating. And it just gets kind of wacky. Here's the pulse beneath it. And there's some PWM happening below. Well, let's go back in the middle and listen to that. We'll get to effects in a moment. Let's move on to the next one. That isn't my favorite, but some of these are about to be. Let's take our mix over to just the first side, which is the animated fractal triangle. Triangle being processed by bit operator or amplifying sub oscillator. So we have the triangle on this side. Let's wave shape it. You get some super saw territory in there, and I really love that. If you've been following the channel, you know I'm all about that. If we bring in that sub on the pulse side, I hear some PWM happening, and I am all about that. Let's bring that in. Let's let it drone out instead. We'll stop cycling our envelope. I just think that sounds radical. Here's bandpass. If you want to get raunchy. That sounds excellent. High pass. Yeah. Next one we have the exponential saw detune, 2 saw waves. So now this one, it doesn't go pulse to saw. This one ends up being 2 saws. So if we start off at just the saw 1, saw 2, in the middle we're mixed in, and I think it's putting it out of phase actually is reducing the amplitude, but when we increase our wave shaping by holding slide and increasing fine, now what happens if we disconnect all these? Yeah, okay. So I think some of these animated ones with the same wave shape, you want to not use my mixer because I'm getting phase cancellation. Here we go. Yeah. Effects, the pop side. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right, filter in. Wave shaping was all over that. Let's get into that one more time. We'll just ping it. And then we'll move on to the 5th waveform, which is our super triangle. So wave shaping all the way down. Go into drone mode again, turn off the cycle of the envelope. Turn it down a little bit. 50-50 mix. Here is the saw. And I love how that sounds, but it's very subby. If we mix in our pulse, go over the soft circuit. Yeah. It just sounds huge on the low end. Yeah, I'm all about that. Let's move over to the 6 oscillator. Wave shaping's down. We're just going to listen to the triangle on the left. Filter all the way open. Hear that wave animation behind the scenes. You know I love that. Let's go into the pulse. PWM almost happening, I think. Oh, I gotta keep that cranked. Can we take all these out too? Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I shouldn't take the filter out. Envelope in. Get over to the 7th one, which is our triangle to noise. So starting with a triangle on the left, let's mix that back in, filter in, X, Y of the 2 wave shapes. Here's our triangle. And then it'll just go into noise as you crank it up, but other side will have a pulse width. So if we bring in, the other side will have a pulse. If we bring in the mix. I don't find I love these noise ones as much, but I can see where if you were droning and it just became this wild thing, that this is fun, right? And on that note, if you go into the last one, this is glitch radio. My interstellar radio is getting jealous, but I wouldn't necessarily want to listen to it on its own. But these filters sound so good. It's fun to just go through them, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Interestingly, no resonance patch point, I don't think. I wish I could ping that too. Yeah. Drones aplenty. Here goes the sequence. So yeah, to play us out, I'm going to do something a little hybrid. We're going to bring in some external sequencers so I don't have to use this little 8-step thing. I'm going to bring in some external effects so I can drown this drone in some reverb maybe, see where it lands us. But yeah, just to play us out, I think I'm going to do that. So I'm Tafony. Thanks so much for watching. Hope we were able to scratch the surface a little bit with the Softpop. I think there's something really special there with the digital VCO and the analog filters. So it's a really fun machine. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that crap that I'm always on your case about. And so is YouTube on my case about. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.